elected representatives to collaborate openly among ourselves and make decisions that will decide the future direction of our public schools and education of our children here in Clay County. There will be an opportunity for the public to ask questions at the end of the workshop presentation. Questions will be allowed, public comment will not be allowed. If you wish to ask a question, fill out a comment card with your question and hand that card to a deputy. Your participation is welcomed and appreciated. And since we have no special guests, I know it's been kind of crazy the last couple of
We kind of do.
We do?
She's on the screen.
Just kidding. Okay, we'll start with you then. This is the property casualty insurance?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, never mind, sorry. We'll get with the board after.
Jory, you're up.
Is she up?
Hi, good morning. My name is Jory Vandervoort with Gallagher. Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, I'm getting a little bit of an echo on my side, but we'll power through that. So this is the property and liability renewal. It includes the workers' comp. For some of you that have been here before, the presentation will look a little bit different. So we'll go through a couple of the pieces about the market. We'll talk a little bit about the structure of the program. You still hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry about that. I pressed the button and everything went silent. But again, first, before I even jump into this, I appreciate you letting me do this virtually. I usually prefer to come into town and do this, but I have some family obligations that I had to attend to. But I can certainly be available in the future to come out and meet with you guys, or certainly on the phone or any future virtual meetings. So what we'll do is we'll talk a little bit about the marketplace, and then the structure of the program, and then get into the pricing. I think that you all have a hard copy of this, so you might have reviewed it, but I'll try to go through it. I'll try to stop at the end of each slide to see if there's any questions, because I know sometimes working through things virtually can get a little bit crazy with some of the communication. So, like I said, the property market, in years past, a couple of years ago, we were seeing these prices really significantly increasing, had to make some changes to it. Last year, we started seeing some reductions, and we started seeing that settle down. We saw more capacity come into the marketplace, which then brings in more competition. That's a good thing for you. Obviously, property for you all is a big budget item, and so we like to see when there's competition. Last year, this is from the various hurricanes that went through Florida, don't really seem to be affecting the marketplace right now. And it's to be seen if the wildfires and some of the things that happen throughout the country have any negative effect. But so far, so good. And with that, I'm going to move to the next spot, to the next page. But does anybody have any questions about the property market itself? Okay. The next page talks just a couple little items about each of the lines of coverage and so the marketplace. The general liability, that's like your slips and falls, things of that nature. That market is much more moderate. The auto liability continues to see some rate increases, mostly because the insurers are looking to manage, some of these outsized verdicts in many jurisdictions throughout the country and certainly in Florida as well. Abuse and molestation, that continues to be a difficult coverage. The school leaders E&O and employment practices policy or coverage, that is actually your coverage as board members. It's your Arizona emissions. That's showing some nominal rate increases. The excess workers' compensation, well, we don't have new carriers entering the marketplace. The rates, have risen, but the carrier that you've been with has been able to provide some pretty competitive stuff over the years, although we market that as well. And then there's cyber liability as well. Are there any questions at this point? So one of the things, or what the main drivers of some of your besides the market, the other main driver of your insurance coverages are your exposures. And this year, the district and their team really spent a considerable amount of time working on their property values, which was a good thing to do at this time because we were seeing property rates decrease. And so we're able to offset a lot of that, any potential increase because of the values. So, like I said, I wanted to point out that the team itself, your team, did an exceptional job in research and their methodologies, and what they came up with was really about a 24% overall increase on some of those property values. The problem was that, they haven't been really updated in the last couple of years because of the way that the marketplace had been. The casualty exposures are the exposures that affect your general liability, your auto liability, your workers' comp, things of that nature. And those had a more mild increase. We can see obviously the payrolls coincide with the employees, and both of those went down by 7%. The operating expenditures were up a little bit, and then the student count was up. And the district team also worked extensively really to get us these figures and to make sure that they were accurate, both from the historical standpoint and look to the future standpoint. Do we have any questions on that? Okay. So just quickly overall, as I mentioned at the outset, this is a really good renewal. There's some mild increase in the program, but mostly driven by the property values. We were able to offset a lot of that. But so that we go ahead and market the program each and every year to make sure that we're leveraging our relationships, that we're getting you the best pricing and the best coverages that are available in that marketplace. Of those 42 companies that were approached, 15 provided some quotes and indications, and we have a few other carriers that are still reviewing the submission. And what we're presenting today is, since it's June the 17th, the program renews on June 30th, so we'll still continue to work on these different quotes over the next couple days. The pricing that you'll be looking at the end of this presentation is really the maximum that it would be. Our goal is, shave off a few dollars here and there as well. So before we get into the actual structure of the program, I just wanted to take a minute on this page because I know we have some new board members, some of the ones that have been there have probably seen this, and you might have remembered it, you might not. But I like to always give us an idea as to the type of program that the school board has, because a lot of times we talk about insurance, and the only real thing that we can compare it to is our own personal insurance, our homeowners coverage, or maybe our business owners coverage. And the Clay County School program is really vastly different. It's called a specific excess program, and right here where I put the green lettering. But we'll start over here on the left-hand side of this chart, and which is what's called a conventional insurance program. That is, really your more typical to your business owner's policy or your homeowner's policy. It's a policy that provides you limits of coverage with little to no deductible. And the reason that we put that on the side of the continuum, the spectrum of being in less control, is because when you have a claim, you either have a small deductible or no deductible, and you report the claim to the carrier, and the carrier takes over from that point, from $1, handles the claim, decides if they're going to settle the claim, and they decide with sometimes little to no involvement from you as to how much to settle the claim. And that becomes detrimental for you if you start having numerous claims over the years, and then they want to penalize you for having losses. I saw this just recently with another client of mine that's in a conventional program, and they had somebody slip and fall in a pool. They didn't think much of it. The person said they were fine, and then a few days later, the person hired an attorney. The attorney reported the claim to the carrier, and within several months, a $500,000 claim was settled with little to no involvement from the client. So the better way to do it is really what the Clay County School Board is doing, is you're in what we call a specific excess, it's like a protected self-insured program, whereas you take a large self-insured retention and you buy excess coverage on top of that. And so you're controlling and managing the claims in your self-insured retentions. You have your own, you hire a third-party claims administrator that helps you manage those. You have lots of involvement and you're able to use your own attorneys to settle those claims, and you're able to put together your entire team, and it ends up in the long run providing a lot more, becomes a lot more cost effective for you. And so I want to go ahead on to the next page just so that you can get a feel for the program itself. I won't go through every single line of these, but as to what this is telling you is if you look at the bottom left-hand corner, and you can see my cursor there on the bottom left. These yellow boxes, well, the yellow boxes are your deductibles or your self-insured retentions. And so the first column is your property tower. Your second tower is what we call the school board package, which incorporates a number of liability coverages. You have workers' compensation coverage. Equipment breakdown is also known as boiler and machinery coverage. You have your storage tanks, and then an active assailant liability. And when I talked about on the previous page about your retentions, I know this chart is a little hard to see even when it's printed out, but from a property standpoint, you will have a $100,000 self-insured retention, the liability. You have a $200,000 self-insured retention on the workers' comp, a $500,000 self-insured retention. And so those are things that, you're working with your claims administrator, your attorneys are involved, the risk management team is involved in doing the investigations and really trying to get these claims settled to the best that they can, and, under the thresholds of the excess insurance. Anybody have any questions?
Not yet.
No? Okay. Go on. So this is the page probably everybody has already seen, because I believe we do have a handout of it. But this is the renewal figures that came in. Column 1 is the program that's going to be expiring on June 30th, and column 2 is the apples to apples comparison of column number 1. So the number 2 is the renewal, the column number 1 is the expiring. And so overall, we were looking at just under a 5% increase. As I mentioned, the main drivers of the increase there are the changes and increases in those property values, but to offset a lot of that through pushing the excess property carriers for some rate reductions in those layers. So it wasn't a dollar per dollar, 25% increase across the board. We were able to hold that at the 4.38%. We always like to give you options. The biggest option for this was, the excess workers' compensation. So we're talking about this line right here, if you follow my cursor. And, it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense for you to be taking on, another $100,000 of retention for each and every claim, only to yield a one-time savings of $18,000. We looked at the claims themselves, and there's a handful of claims up in the $300,000-400,000 area, and with jury verdicts over and the cost of medical, that's one of the problems with workers' compensation is that you can still have decreasing amount of claims, but even though you can get one, and it still, pushes the envelope obviously on the actual costs themselves, the medical costs, the medical inflationary costs. And so that was really the difference between columns 2 and 3. The final page was just the notes, really more like a summary of what we were talking about. There were 42 markets approached, 15 quotes had been received or presented. We're still reviewing, and so we'll continue to work on these numbers. As I mentioned on the previous page, the renewal rates did improve significantly year over year and are very competitive in the marketplace. The workers' compensation rate actually was flat. The excess property rate, what I didn't get to on the previous page, was that it actually decreased by 18%, while the property values themselves increased 24%. So you can see how we really try to offset that. And so, like I said, the main differences between what you're seeing are results of the 24% change in property values. And that's really it. Is there any questions, any items of discussions?
I wanted to ask on the page with the renewal exposures, I know the student number is a guess, and I guess we'd probably rather be higher than lower, but how real is that number, the 41,546?
We'll see, if you go by all Clay County students, it's a very real number,
Okay.
meaning charters included, DJJ, which is all under the umbrella.
Because it's such a jump from the previous year.
But the real reason for the cost increase is property value, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So even with the number of students, that wouldn't,
No, but I just wanted to verify how real that is.
That number was provided around March, I think.
Okay.
So I don't know if things have changed or if they were looking at something different. When we get new people answering the questions, they may look at things from a different angle.
Perspective. Yeah.
Yeah.
any further questions?
Thank you, Jory.
Thank you, Drew.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Again, I appreciate you allowing me to do this virtually. And if anybody has any questions, certainly you can reach out to me or to the risk management folks, and I'm happy to get on a call with you.
Thank you.
Have a great day. Thank you.
No more special guests, right? Okay. So, sorry. I don't know why I was thinking that was gonna be, districts presenting that. Anyways, before we move on, I know we haven't been able to do this last couple months because of policy and everything that's been going on, but I wanted to discuss with the board. Is there anything that you want to bring forward, anything you want to put on the agenda, anything you want to talk about? Just kind of want to go around and start with Mr. Alder at this time. Nothing. Ms. Hanson?
I have a couple things. I had talked to you guys about maybe having a teacher chat or forum in the summer, and I have some dates because I need to email the teachers that have signed up, and wondering if we could get to that real quick to see if any of these dates work for you. I was hoping to have everyone there, but if we can't make it, as many as possible would be great. And then I'm gonna ask Ms. Watt, if we come up with a date, maybe we can use the Orange Park room over at the Orange Park High School Career Center, where I did last time.
Yep.
So I have some dates in July. Teachers thought it was better after the leadership and then after 4th of July, and then maybe the week prior to going back to school. But I have on here July 24th, 21, 28, or 30. So towards the end of July.
I can't do the 21st.
Can't be 21.
I can do the 24th. What was the other one?
So 24 would be okay with you? Can everybody do the 24th?
Okay.
Is the 24th good?
You're talking about afternoon,
Yeah, afternoon.
like evening?
Yeah, so like maybe everybody, you have kids, whatever, it could be, what time would you guys like it to be? I was thinking maybe 3, 4 o'clock.
I think, I know like teachers too, if you're wanting them to come, if they have kids waiting for a spouse to get off work.
Yeah, we could do it later too. We did it at 6 o'clock last time.
I think that's good.
Do you guys think 6 o'clock on the 24th? Okay. Is that good, Ms. Watt?
I'm looking July 24th, and that's a Thursday.
Yep.
Yes, it is open and free.
Perfect. That was so easy for us this time.
Sorry, I love your.
Yes.
What room did you say that was at Orange Park High?
It's in the,
It's the teacher learning center, so it's that.
Next to the
blue-
Adult Community Ed Center?
Exactly.
yeah, in the back, go down the, okay, then I'll get to setting that up, and many of the teachers are very excited, and so I think it's gonna be a great, I don't really know how to get the word out to all the teachers, I could only get the word out at the
We could
level.
put it in our newsletter.
Well, our newsletter won't be out till August, so
Yeah.
can we do like, Ms. Dennis, can we do like a little flyer and send it to all the teacher emails? Like generate a little flyer, like, hey, the board's gonna hold a teacher forum, we can do that.
That would be great, and then I'll email the 32 numbers that I actually have right now, text them and let them know. And then maybe they'll tell other people at their schools as well. So that's perfect.
Quick question on that. Are we gonna have an agenda for that meeting, or?
So I have to work on that because teacher chats are what teachers want to chat about. So we'll have to, I guess, for sunshine reasons, come up with the language for such a thing. It's really about the state of education, what's going on in classrooms, what we could do to help them. So from a lawyer standpoint, I don't know how we would advertise that type of forum.
Yes, ma'am. So I can get with Ms. Bonnie. We, again, because if more than one are there, we just want to make sure we, put the public notice out, make sure it's accessible to the public. The Sunshine Law does not require a specific agenda. It's helpful though, and it's recommended. So you could, whatever y'all come up with, we can, whether it's a question and answer or just the state of education, if it's one agenda item, we can kind of work with that. But we can, I can get with Ms. Bonnie. We can make sure that we.
Okay.
Could we advertise it maybe as like a town hall? Because that sounds like more like what you're looking for, is just for us to listen.
Well, it's listening, and I have an actual format that I've done some research on that will help them get very organized and about topics in general, and then people could talk about those topics, but they'll generate the topics themselves. So it's really mostly listening and having some empathy and just hearing at a different level what's going on in their classrooms. So, yeah. I don't think we're going to be discussing a lot. We might have questions, though, that kind of thing.
I just wasn't sure what to expect as far as like, are you wanting us to speak? If so, like, I want to know ahead of time what we're talking about.
So it'll start with probably them generating topics, right? And then people could sign up for those topics to share if they have ideas or, stories about what's actually been happening in the classroom. And I want to tell you that it's not hard to be compassionate about what they say. I mean, what happens in the classroom is the most important thing, I would say, in child's education, other than maybe that home connection supporting us. And so they need to have a venue where they can speak freely. And at this point, it's good for us because a lot of teachers trust us. So I think it'll be good for us, and I think it'll be great for them. So, and the only other thing I wanted to ask if we could put on the agenda, either August or September, for a workshop. We currently worked our way through these. I brag about us all the time, and I gave Tom a hug at the FSBA summer convention, and he was so moved, and I have to tell you what he honestly said was, and then I hugged him again because I just felt like it was a really great thing for me that we did something so enormous. Most people don't understand the depth of what we did, but he said, "No wonder you're in A County. You're the nicest district we ever worked with." And so I just wanted you guys all to know that. I only see what happens here, right? When we were like asking to change things, and I would say it's not really confrontational, but that kind of discussion happens. But when he also talked about the kindness and the generosity of the district and how easy you guys were to work with, I wanted you to know that. So, thank you. So the other thing, now that we worked our way through there's part of, I would like us to put on the agenda the student code of conduct and go through it by section. I would like to leave that to Mr. Broski and our chair to determine, how to move through that. It's a very big project. I'd like to make it smaller, more user-friendly, specific to the point, and very like our policies. where parents don't need to read through 30-something pages to decide to sign. I'd like it to be done by section so that we have time to see if there's changes we would like, since we just redid our policies, to see if there's areas we'd like to move forward in a different direction, keep it the same direction. So that's what I would like to see happen, either starting and I say starting August or September because changes, I've learned a lot in my last couple of years. You start August and try to get ready for your changes the following school year, so I feel like it wouldn't be very stressful for the district or ourselves to have plenty of time, so that would be up to you.
Would it be easier to do it in September, start after
The year starts, yeah.
Yeah,
Wait till September.
so the budget,
Yeah, sure.
and all that stress, because I know it's all hands on deck with the budget this go around.
Yeah.
So September, can we do that? And prepare
Plenty of time to do that.
and do sections?
You guys can divide it, because I think some sections, like we've gone over, like, cell phone policies and tobacco. Some things are already done in it, but there are other things I've looked at for now my third year that we haven't talked about at all, so I just think it would be good for us. So, you'll decide then?
Yeah, well, I'll get with
With
him.
the superintendent?
We'll try to do September, and then I'll leave it up to him to decide sections. We can start from the beginning or whatever he thinks would be
Okay.
beneficial, but.
Thank you for your time.
Let's go off of anything. You start?
Yes, other than what I brought up the last time, just a brief, I think the board needs a brief education on the health self-funded way we account for things. And I don't think we necessarily have to invite the Bailey group. I think Michelle or someone from our accounting department.
So you want, at the next workshop,
Probably
a
good.
presentation
Yeah.
on that?
I think we just need to explain the changes that are coming and how the funds will be utilized in the claims, not necessarily to be applied to reduce premiums or it reduces co-pays and claims.
Okay.
That's it.
I have nothing, I don't think, I told Mr. Broski this morning, I felt a little out of place because we've been preparing so hard for these last few workshops with all the policies, I didn't know what to do. I felt like I was forgetting something this morning because of all the hard work that we have done, and the amount of policies that we had to bring in every day, so, or every workshop. So I have nothing, currently, or at this time, so, Mr. Broski?
So next on the agenda, we have a presentation by our Family and Community Engagement Department. So this is Karen McMillan and Tori Bernice. Many of you might know or may not know that Karen retires here in what do you got, a week? 2 weeks, right? So Tori is kind of taking over the helm there, so they're going to co-present this morning. It became really apparent to us back when we formed our strategic plan a couple years ago, how to engage parents and our community is very important to the board, and it should be. If parents have students 86% of the time, it makes sense that you need to engage that group and also get that group to engage with the school system. It's a well-known fact that parents that engage with the school system, their students do better in school because they are engaged, right? And so we kind of created a presentation, and not to spoil it and tell you the end before the beginning, but really two things. One, when we started to do the policies, we had a meeting in which you said, hey, we should do an inventory of what are the things that we are currently doing, right? It doesn't make sense to approach this at like, hey, let's do this, let's do that. I think the first step would be, what are we currently doing related to engaging parents in our community? And we're going to share that information with you. But then also, enrollment trends. I think it was Ms. Gilhousen in the last workshop, I believe it was asking those sorts of questions. The budget discussion that came up kind of plays into that a little bit. So this is kind of a mixture of those two objectives in there. So with that, I'll turn it over to Karen.
All right, I appreciate the introduction. So let's go ahead and dig in. And like he said, this presentation does serve two purposes. One, to address the concern of where are the kids going? And two, as Ms. Hanson has brought up several times, what are we doing to engage the kids, right? Because we do recognize the importance of this. So you actually, I'm sorry, I apologize. So you guys do actually have two documents in front of you. You have a booklet, and inside the booklet is the presentation that mirrors the booklet. So feel free to follow along with whichever one you're most comfortable with. The same information is in both. The presentation is a more abbreviated version of it though. All right, and the first thing you'll see is the executive summary that kind of goes over the work that we have been doing in the Community Relations Department, Family and Community Engagement specifically, and how hard we have worked to build that foundational knowledge, like Mr. Broski said. We have to inventory before we can decide what next steps are. So we did do a lot of inventorying and building processes this year, along with collecting some additional data and pushing out some initiatives. And the introduction covers how much we do value that partnership with our families and with those community members. We don't take it lightly, and we recognize that it was a priority with the board.
So since it was a priority with the board, as well as a priority with our families and our schools, this is as a result of the strategic plan goal number 3, we formed the Family and Community Engagement Department. So you'll see in front of you, you have our goal number 3. It is to engage families in the community in the educational process to create robust learning opportunities and partnerships that support and prepare students to be successful throughout the K-12 educational experiences leading to graduation and beyond.
So around this strategic plan, goal number 3, we accomplished a lot in year 1. One that you are very familiar with was we standardized and supported the volunteer system, and we'll share what those numbers actually look like after just this one short year. We delivered and supported language assistant devices at every single school. So it does not matter what language a family speaks, they can go to the front desk and get support with registration and get their questions answered. And not only does it support English language learning families, but it also supports the hearing impaired families. We sent out a parent survey, and it actually is an annual parent survey where we ask parents, what do you want family engagement to look like? What do you want communication to look like? We asked them how they felt about the services that their children receive, and believe it or not, 91% of the respondents are happy with their overall child's educational experience. Also, to engage all of the stakeholders, we also met with the school leaders and district leadership to see how they also engage families. We developed a field trip process, and we now have first time ever data on all the field trips that happen in our district. We developed a summer camp process because we recognize the importance of giving kids these extra experiences, but teachers needed guidance, school leaders needed guidance. We refined the district, school, and teacher communication platform. We marketed and promoted school and district achievements. We initiated new district and school websites, and the ripples from this are immeasurable because that's also where our communications enhancement came from. We streamlined registration guidance. One of the things the parents said in their parent survey was our website was a little cumbersome. So we've really been looking at cleaning that up and auditing what those trails look like. Every month, I downloaded a withdrawal report and an enrollment report to look at trends. For the first time ever, we started sending out withdrawal exit surveys to families that moved away, or to families who chose an alternate educational option. We represented and marketed Clay County District schools at community events. You saw our tent at the fair. We were at the bicycle rodeo. We'll be at the back to school bash at the Thrasher Horn Center. We supported district-wide events, state of schools, art show, athletic awards, all-county chorus, all-county band. We're there. We're supporting them. And we're looking for ways that we can enhance the parent experience, which really, they just want their children to have a good experience, right? We also supported annual national events, Month of the Military Child, Dads and Donuts, things like that. I know Terry regularly pushes out resources and information for schools. But we cannot look at enrollment trends without discussing the voucher system. Real quickly, just a quick explanation of the different voucher options. FTC, the Florida tax credit, is one that has been around forever. It was for families of poverty to have a pathway out, not a pathway out, a pathway to an alternative educational option. That's a better way of saying it. Family Empowerment Scholarship, FESEO. Families can use their funds to go to private school, to apply to private school tuition. FESUA, UA is Unique Abilities. These are for kids with special needs. Families can choose to homeschool and use their funds to support services for their child's special needs. The PEP scholarship is the scholarship where personalized education plan. Families can use the funds with whatever pathway they choose. So let's do a little historical walk. Forgive me. Thank you. So,
Choked up.
I do get so passionate about it. My husband's on the regular talking about, hey, calm down. So 21, 22, because when all of these came into being, there were guardrails in place, right? To protect the state, to protect school districts, to protect families. But as each year passed, we saw some guardrails removed. This year, the guardrail that a child had to have attended a public school prior to qualifying for the scholarship. That guardrail was removed. This year, we saw the cap go up for the number of vouchers they were going to provide, but also, no longer is it just families of poverty, now it's families of poverty and middle class. Right here, 23-24, we see House Bill 1 come into effect. Now, all the guardrails are off. A family's earning capacity is irrelevant, and the number of vouchers they're going to provide, irrelevant, right? All the guardrails are off. 24-25, you see House Bill 1 taking full effect. I'm going to give you a second to just kind of look at each of the sections.
And something that we included in your book that we thought was really important to note was that Florida is home to 7 out of every 10 students nationwide using a voucher.
Wow.
Yeah, like that was kind of a shocking piece of data when we came across that one. Now let's come back home. Let's look at what's happening in Clay County. So we have 2 pieces of data here. We have projections. Now remember, projections are what we base our budget on, right? Our projections. 22-23, we see the projection in yellow. We see how many children showed up. The 10-day count. The 10-day count is what all districts do. This is where we do that butts and seat count, right? The warm body count. We met projection. 23-24 comes. We didn't meet projection. 2 things happened that year. 1, House Bill 1 comes into effect. That makes making projections a moving target, right? And we had a charter school open up with more grade levels than we anticipated. Again, a moving target. 24-25 comes, House Bill 1 is in full effect. Again, we're not meeting projection. There are 2 more pieces of data that need to get taken into effect that are shocking. 25 school year, graduating class, largest graduating class in U.S. history. Wow. Did you know that? Incoming kindergarten class, smallest in U.S. history. These are the COVID babies. This is the COVID year, right? So it's not a matter of where are the kids going, because again, look at the blue bar. Just look at the blue bar, because as Mr. Brodsky says all the time, facts not fiction. Projection is a moving target. The blue line are facts. Notice there is not a mass exodus from Clay County District schools. We're maintaining our enrollment. And in fact, marginal growth each year. Would we like to see more growth? Of course. And we will constantly be looking in the communications department of how to improve family engagement. Constantly. It's a priority of yours, it's a priority of ours, and it's a priority of our schools. So, two pieces of data that I look at are the movement, the migration number, the migration data, and what we're getting from home ed, charter schools, private schools. Now this is just two pieces of data. I look at all of it, but this is just two pieces of data. And this is just after the first day of school, so I want you to be clear, this isn't the big summer movement. This is the second day of school to the last day of school. Movement we see once school is started. You see this number, they moved here to Clay County from outside of Clay, outside of Florida, or out of the country, moved. This number, these are people who came to us from home ed, from a charter school, from private school, after the first day of school. This again, same two pieces of data after the first day of school, but this is withdrawal. They left us after the first day of school, moved away, or left us to pursue an alternative educational option. Now, I will tell you, you cannot just, how do I go back? You can't just overlay these two pieces of data. They're not a one-to-one correspondence, because there are a ton of factors that go into enrollment. There are a ton of factors that go into withdrawal, because we did not, we're not counting early graduation, we're not counting dropouts, so there are other numbers that figure in, so you cannot just overlap and say, well, this doesn't math out, because you can't do that with this data. This is just two pieces. And we know there are other school choice options in Clay County. We know there are private schools, and now that private schools are getting taxpayer money, they have money now to expand offerings, to expand grade levels, to expand their buildings. We know that we have 3 brick and mortar charter schools and 1 virtual charter school. We know home education has seen some growth. But we know we're the superior product here in Clay County. I'm a 30-year veteran here. I raised my kids here. Like, nobody loves this county more than me, but talking facts, not fiction. Just the services, our school choice options we offer, the accelerated program options, ID, ACE, dual enrollment, AP. We offer fine arts. We offer athletics. We offer Montessori. And that doesn't even count the ESE and the ELL services that kids get, and the mental health services kids get. We are the superior product. We are outperforming. I'll get off that soapbox again. I feel very passionate about this. So we went from the state and we looked at that voucher usage, the vouchers getting pushed out. Let's look at what it looks like in Clay County. So there are a couple of specific data points that I want you to intentionally look at. The first one is just the yellow bar. So just the yellow bar is the vouchers getting used in Clay County. And you see, I'm going to use the word exponential again, an exponential growth across literally just 3 years, right? Exponential growth.
Yeah, but look at the difference between 23, 24, and 24, 25. That's huge.
Huge.
Yeah.
Huge, because House Bill 1, right? They removed the cap of the number of vouchers they were going to give. But here's what I want you to look at as well. So home ed is this third bar right here. Coming out of COVID, home ed was huge. People felt the need to home ed their kids to protect their kids, right? We understood that. We did. But then you see it stabilizes back out, right? But what I want you to notice is, though the voucher usage in Clay County is a huge growth, notice you don't see a mass enrollment in those other options. And what that means is families who have never been in Clay County District schools, who have chosen to homeschool, who have chosen to private school for their lifelong, now have funds available to them to apply to that choice option. And they're taking advantage of it. So again, it's not a mass exodus from Clay County schools. It's people who had not previously qualified are now using funds. But we do always want to win anybody back who thinks that there is a better option, because we do need to make everybody aware of how good this option is. So some things we're doing is a big kindergarten enrollment campaign. We do recognize that if we get kids in kindergarten, we potentially have them for life, right? Our elementary schools are doing kindergarten tours, they're doing kindergarten signing dates. If you follow our elementary schools on social media, they are doing the most unique, adorable things out there to engage families and to support their registration. We're doing exit surveys because we do value the feedback of families that have moved and of families that have chosen another option. We are working on our communications because, again, the family survey said we need things to be better. We're working on making it better. It's been a priority for yours and a priority of ours. We have 6 focus schools that are experiencing declining enrollment. So we've expanded our controlled open enrollment, our controlled open enrollment campaign to a bigger area. We are hosting more school events than ever. And I mean thousands across the district every year. And again, the volunteerism, the value of having our parents be an integral part of our schools is so important. And we are working every day on supporting them getting in our schools. This is one of the postcards that Trudy made that we're sending out for, is this a kindergarten one or a controlled open enrollment one, Terry?
That one is, they're an open school, so we'll be sending that out targeted to some people. And the flip side has great, like 5 facts that are great about our schools. And also has a QR code that takes them directly to the registration link for Fleming Island Elementary to help get them registered with the school number and everything to call. So all of our principals we've been working with closely to individualize theirs. So those are all real student pictures. We have real student facts on the back, what's offered at the school, to personalize it with leadership to get kids to come to their neighborhood school. That all of them are A's and B's.
Yes, I know. They're very high-performing schools, right? And a high-performing school district. So, this is a good time for me to segue over to Tori.
These are big shoes to fill.
Initiative.
She's very passionate, but so am I. I'm a current, I've been in Clay County my entire career since 2017, and I also have a child in Clay County schools, so she's going into 2nd grade, and I love being involved in all of the school offerings that our school does for to engage their families. Something I'm excited to obviously continue everything that Karen has put in motion, but I'm excited to start developing out is PFA and PFO opportunities to kind of streamline the process a little bit more, get some common language, some common ground amongst these organizations, and encourage, again, that parent and community participation. We are also looking at offering a la carte course offerings to those that are currently in a different school choice option, so they can come and maybe a high school student can take AP biology and have that lab component and just come in for that course. So we are looking into that. We're excited to explore that. We are going to continue with the website and communication enhancement. We are launching rooms. If you have a child in Clay County Schools, you've probably gotten a couple of text messages, and we are really excited to promote that and hopefully get that engagement prior to the first day of school starting. And then expediting event check-in was something that was really near and dear to our specialist Paula's heart this year. She launched it at OVE this year, the biggest elementary school in the district. And something that comes out of this is kind of twofold. Again, always prioritizing student safety, ensuring that everybody is checking in through one point of entry, but also really encouraging families to come while honoring their time. It's very difficult. If you've ever been to an award ceremony or anything like that, there is kind of a very tedious process to checking in and making sure that everybody has a badge and everybody is able to be there. So that is something that we're really excited to expedite at multiple schools in the coming year. We're going to continue to enhance our business and community partnerships. We're going to continue with the community credit union partnerships this year with the School of the Month, and we are looking to enhance those as well in the coming year to build more community partnerships for all of our schools. And then we are also excited to, again, continue to streamline the process for clubs and summer camp sponsors to provide that opportunity for parents, but also to encourage students to connect with their peers at their schools or at a neighboring school in a positive and productive way throughout the summer.
So the next part of your book it's like a menu of things that are happening in our schools and across the district. And I just need you to know that the events that are listed here are just scratching the surface of everything that is happening out there. So let's just look at a brief overview of some of these events.
So the first thing that comes to mind is academic and informational events. We all know about open house, orientation, conferences. Our Title I department, our ESOL department, our ESE department do an amazing job of also providing events countywide and school-based, depending on the needs of the community of that school, for all of our families to attend. They mix it up. They do some, as many as they can during the day, and then they do them at night and things like that to make sure that as many parents and families can attend as possible. So some of you have been to academic competitions, Battle of the Books, things like that. We have the countywide science fair, and math field day is always a fun event to attend. And we also offer a lot of English language learner opportunities for parents and community members to attend as well.
And even outside of the academics, like our schools are a hub for the community. We have community building events. Many of our schools host carnivals and festivals and trunk or treats, and it truly does become this community event that binds our families with our schools. We have field trips. We have, and no spoiler alert, I'm not going to say how many field trips, but field trips within our community across the state. And I mean, when you get in high school, some of these kids are traveling across the United States and experiencing things outside of their community. You'll also notice that many of our high schools, junior highs, and elementaries welcome their alumni back. We see the graduation walkthrough, homecoming events, and holiday and seasonal events are huge. If you have any kids in our school system or ever did, you have been to these. Every school hosts those.
We also host an array of events both at the school level and district-wide for parent engagement and support. These look like school advisory committees, PFAs and PFOs. That's the parent advisory groups, the communication support networks. You likely get, if your kids attend Clay County Schools, you likely get a newsletter from the admin every week or a phone call to let you know what's going on that week. Support networks as well. We also offer a ton of parent education and workshops related to anything you can name regarding mental health, regarding ELL learners, You name it, we probably do it, but we know there's always room for improvement.
Yeah, and remember the smartphone safety event, like that was responsive to what parents were asking for. That one was a heavy hitter. We also recognize that a child has basic needs, and if the basic needs are not taken care of, it's hard to take care of those academic needs. So our schools are also the foundation for taking care of some of these basic needs. We do have 3 community partnership schools that don't just support the child, they support the entire family. We have health and wellness services that are available to kids. You'll see food pantries and food and clothes closets in several schools across our county that support our students. So, these are just a few of the numbers to speak to family and community engagement. We have over 414 business partners supporting our schools, supporting our students, supporting our school district. High school and junior high students, athletes are a part of over 4,000 athletic events. This was a shocking number for me. This is every year. This is not a 10-year aggregate. This is 1 year. For the first time ever, we know how many field trips are taken in our school district. We know where they went to. We know how many kids went. We know what teachers took them, what schools took them. 1,345 field trips were taken this year. 1 year. That's huge. Over 200 fine arts events, many of which you guys have attended. In 10 months, this is our, I love this number, over 10,000 volunteers registered in Raptor in 10 months. And of those 10,000, almost 2,000 paid themselves to go get fingerprinted because they recognize the importance of having that additional layer of security. And they respected our request. We field phone calls every day, and not one person is angry about this layer. We have 20 Title I schools. One of the requirements of a Title I school is to host at least 3 parent events that supports the academic success of the children in that community. And they don't just host 3 events at those schools, they host many more. It's just those 3 are meant to close that academic gap that can sometimes happen.
So we look forward to increasing all of those numbers, no pressure at all. Great job, Karen, kicking off this department. I'm really excited to continue the work, the amazing work that this county is doing in engaging families and communities. We know it's a priority for you. It's also a priority for us, and we want you to recognize that. And so we are always open to suggestions for moving forward, and we hope to continue increasing those numbers into the 150th school year for Clay County District Schools.
Ooh, my God. Yes.
Nothing like a good data set to finish it. I just get excited about that. No doubt Karen's will be missed here, the rock star in Clay County. And we'll miss her retirement. Dory's doing a great job. This was a priority of the board. That's what we've been doing. Because really this issue came up well over a year ago. This is what we've been doing during that year to move us to the place where we are now. Just continue on or anything?
I learned something in my FSBA conference. I know everybody's like, oh, right? But it's fairly simple. Many districts, we talk about the strategic plan all the time, and this is a result of the strategic plan. What I'm asking is, when we add items to an agenda, I would like to see what strategic plan item that goes for. So we can build a trail of how we're actually, like a short and long-term goal trail. So like, if we're working on parent engagement, somewhere in the agenda it should say the strategic, nothing should ever be done in our district unless it's part of the strategic plan. That's basically it. And so we need to let people know we're actually working on the strategic plan when we make changes in it. So I think most districts, they're not getting into a detail. It's like a blurb, addresses this part of the strategic plan.
Yeah, it is. currently we have a spot on the agenda item that says strategic plan goal, and it lists out the goal
Yeah.
and also the strategy. We can certainly look at.
Where is it in the agenda for each item?
On the agenda item of every item, that it's aligned to the strategic plan goal.
And they can click on it?
Yeah, it actually spells out and writes in wording what the goal is and what initiative. or
So we have
strategy.
a trail of all these changes we've been making,
I think it does that for the board members' view. Does it do that for the public's view?
so they can see
Yes.
we're working on it?
It does. They
If
see
they,
that.
if they click on the item within each agenda that I publish, they will see
They
that,
can see it
that
too.
piece of it.
I've never tried it.
So
because-
I think to the board member's point, right, there's so many things you can do, right? You can find yourself going down rabbit holes. Oh, let's do this. Oh, let's do that. And not be focused. These were the 5 things that we said we were gonna do.
Yeah.
We're gonna stick to those 5 things. And a whole goal, one of the 5 was family and community engagement. That's why you see all that work being done there related to that. And I just caution board members, because sometimes you get anecdotal information, which is the one phone call or the one whatever. I think when you look at a presentation like that and you see the facts and the numbers and the data that support that, that doesn't mean that every single person in Clay, that's physically in Clay County is going to be engaged in the school system. And so they might, give you some thoughts on this separately. And of course, we're compassionate to everybody and empathy for everybody around. At the end of the day, the facts don't lie, as to how we're doing. Can we improve? You'd say that better.
And
Of
also,
course
do we
can.
update the strategic plan as we go as well? So like,
Every year.
We do.
but I mean like as we go,
It's
so.
on our website. We do. We have so we have a page on our website for the strategic plan. And we also have where you can look at it in full, and then each year we update it. So last year, you can see last year's update. It'll say year 1 update. We are super close to finishing our year 2 update. What we're really waiting on is a state to release the full and complete state assessment data, since we know student data is going to be critically important, and there are some other few indicators that we kind of don't get to like July 1 and so as soon as that's ready, we're super hopeful that within the next, we'll have that ready to go in about 30 days to share with you at a workshop.
Yeah, so I think it's really important that everyone in the educational community understands that we're driven by our strategic plan. And I actually think this board should be more involved in that when we develop strategic plans. It is our plan with the district. And the community needs to know nothing's just willy-nilly. We don't do things. And where I think sometimes part of our problem is people say, what have you ever done about that? Like maybe we need to do a better job on our focus, which comes from the strategic plan, letting people know that we actually have that plan. It's number 1 in our planning, and the goals are achieved or updated each year, that we're always moving in a positive direction. I honestly think that's the biggest misnomer, is that we're just not really just opening up an agenda book, right? We're actually really working toward the board and the district's strategic plan every single day, with the ultimate goal is academic excellence. And so maybe that just we need to figure out how to share that we actually have a plan, and this is where we are on this plan, to build confidence in the fact that we're not lost ever,
Which I think that's something that we can also put in our board flyer or whatever, but I just want to say thank you guys. The volunteering and the parents back in our schools was a big push for me. I grew up in the 90s, so I grew up where my mom made homemade candy apples and brought them into school, and we've kind of moved away from that, and I want to, holidays are really big for me as a mom, and all of those special moments. So I want to thank you guys for giving parents that opportunity back, because I know we lost it with COVID and even prior to COVID. So getting them back in the classroom, which also helps academics across the board. We've already proven that, we already know that. But I just want to thank you guys, especially for the volunteering. You've given them the option. If they want to, they can. If they don't, then that's fine too. But they have that option, and you guys have taken our requests and done wonders with it. So thank you very much. And I greatly appreciate it as a mom, so thank you.
And we appreciate the board's support.
I think we know what you're gonna retire into, but what you're
She's gonna be volunteering.
I mean, looking at
6 months.
6 months, yeah, well, 7 for me.
6 months and 1 day.
But looking at the success of Orange Park Elementary is a prime example of parent involvement. But at the same time, I mean, I grew up where my mom couldn't get involved because she worked. And we have to be able to help those students as well, so.
This slide in particular, I felt like was super insightful, showing that, our enrollment is stable.
You're right.
We're not losing students, but the voucher program is expanding. And I just was wondering if maybe through FSBA or through FADS, there could be some statewide data as we're looking to next legislative session and talking about our financial needs as a district. I'm not opposed to the state offering the voucher, but I do feel like it's really crippling school districts when we're funding students who the state has never funded through us before. So I think just helping them to see in a pictorial graph, we're not losing students from public education to private, but we're now funding students who we never received funding for.
I think that 23-24 is the first year in which all of the caps are taken off, and as Karen eloquently pointed out, that would mean theoretically, a person that makes $1 million can still receive a state voucher for their child to go to private school, and that money would be coming from public funds. So I think transparency in the process is needed. Most people don't know that or know the impact of that, and so they kind of look at it and they say, well, you should just do more with less. I think Clay County is one of those districts that we just have good people that work. I mean, I hope none of the counties listening out there. We just work a little harder, and we have a little better folks, I think, in Clay County, which is why we're as successful as we are. When you look at our per capita income in our county, we're about the middle of the 67 districts. In other words, income is often used as a statistic related to student achievement. The higher the income of the area, the higher the student achievement. Many sociological reasons why that is. Parent engagement obviously is one of them, and learning environment at home and all of those kinds of things. But yet Clay County ranks as one of the top districts. Well, that's because we do the support things and the other things to make up that gap. That gap is just not made up on its own. It's through hard work and initiative that the gap is made up to where we are. It's the difference between where our per capita income is as a district and our performance. So I think that they hit the nail on the head. I see this as a thing moving forward. And we saw the training coming about a year ago, which is why we formed this group in order to do that and to work on it. Also, let's also kind of remember the one thing that I don't want to be remembered for this, but the saying that always have good customer service. And my dad was a businessman, so he would always talk about customer service. And that kind of was ingrained, in mine. So providing good customer service to folks is still the objective. And so analyzing our processes that may be an impediment to folks and providing better customer service is always the name of the game. But I also want to point out customer service is a two-way street, and sometimes it's difficult to always provide the service to their level if they don't like the decision that's been made. So, but we appreciate Karen's a rock star. We miss Karen. Tori's going to do great work. Board, the foresight you have to make this one of the strategic goals, it's extremely important for our families to be engaged and support our school system. We generally have that in Clay County, and we should be proud of that. Okay, we do have an executive session after this. I'm going to go quickly through this and move right through it. So the agenda, remember this is the meeting that everybody's on summer break. Remember, you had a meeting at the beginning of this month, so there's not a lot of time in between the last meeting and this meeting, right? Not as much as there would normally be. So the amount of items on the agenda is a little bit less, just because there's less time in the month. But we do honor our retirees. We had 121 retirees. That's 2,379 years of service. Congratulations to all those retirees. I would expect Karen to be there, but no. Okay. Then as you kind of go through the agenda, it's some of the very same items, so I'll skip over those, the minutes that you know about, the association dues, the ENA, ZAO contract. ENA is our interconnectivity to every school is by that contract. This is a simple change of name. It went from ENA to, make sure I say that, ZAO education, so it's different same service provided there. The personnel consent agenda, the complete salary schedules in there. We're required by law to do that once all of our groups are done with that. The next one is the CERP, the Comprehensive Evidence-Based Reading Plan. We've been fortunate statistically, we've had an increase in 9th and 10th grade of 8%. Our overall gains since the inception of the CERP were 6% in learning gains, a 16% increase in the lower quartile. Overall, we rank above the state, 7 to 10 points for that. All of that is good news. It starts at the CERP, which is the plan for that. We send this off to the state every year. If you have specific questions about a particular strategy, you can certainly go through that. Next, we have a dual enrollment agreement with St. John's River State College. It's pretty standard every year. Next, you might find interesting, Rolling Hills Community Development, Clay High practices, do their swimming practice there. That's what that contract is about. We do our swimming practice there. Then there's an agreement with Clay County Fire Rescue for the program at Orange Park High School. Remember, we have that firefighter school. That firefighter actually teaches the class from Clay County Fire Rescue. Then you have the K-12 Academic Services out-of-state overnight travel. And then there's the AMI Kids, great program. There's 44 is their maximum capacity in that program. These are for male students that are having challenges in the regular educational environment that go to AMI Kids. Then you have dual enrollment with Florida State College, Jacksonville.
Mr. Rescue, I'm sorry.
Sure.
When we look at enrollment, when we look at AMI and PACE, are those students caught under the charter school number?
Not under that. All of the data that you saw here today, that data was strictly brick and mortar.
Okay.
43 district managed schools, not including charter.
So like in here where we have numbers for charter school students, are they considered part of that?
They would be considered part of that, but a lot of times when you see the enrollment projection numbers, it's usually tied to funding. And so that money comes in and goes out for charter schools.
Right, I just wasn't sure what those students are classified. They're a
DJJ program, they're part of Clay County District Schools.
Oh, they are, so they're
Yes.
not under the charter school, okay.
Preferred physical therapy contract, this is for trainers for our athletic programs. Very important. And then we have the review of reconsideration of library materials as part of our normal process. That will then put us up to date on all of those. Then there's the Power School renewal contracts. This is for our HR program for posting positions, as well as our ERT and our FTE state reporting. Proposed allocation changes for 25-26. You see that there, although in future board meetings, you'll see many more related to that and some of the movement that's been done. Then our monthly financial reports, our budget reports. C18 is the item that you saw jury gave to us a presentation on. Then you have the deletion of certain items report, contract renewal for benefit focus. This is the web-based enrollment program that we use for employee benefits. Then there's a placeholder for contracted services for site work. And hopefully it's going to be finalized here in the near future before the board meeting. And there's a bid renewal for digital services systems. These are security, digital surveillance systems, and the contract for that. Transportation bus purchase agreement. Let's just say that purchasing buses is a necessity. Typically, a bus will go about 200,000 is the lifespan on a bus. You can see the cost for the buses are significant. There's a rotation schedule that goes with that, and the number of buses that are there. It's also a big part of that. Next is the interlocal agreement for Orange Park PD. That's on this agenda. Then there's one for Green Cove Springs PD. And then there's a placeholder, and we do have a meeting after this one regarding Clay County Sheriff's Office contract. And then, how about this one? Let's see what this one almost last. Resolution to dispose of relocatable buildings. And hopefully you guys, well, that brings a smile to some folks' face. And then a pre-qualification of contracts. So like I said, the end of June meeting, less items on there because of the condensed time frame. We have 2 meetings physically in the same month. Pretty routine items. I did want to do a couple of district updates. One is this week is our One Clay Leadership Academy. In fact, we're headed right after this. Is yesterday and today is all secondary schools. Teachers from those secondary schools and those leaders go through a series of training as well as some team planning, which I think is the most important part. Planning school improvement goals for next year and what strategies are going to be implemented at each one of those schools. So I think that you hear me always talk about some of the data that the schools have achieved, but really there's all this work that happens behind the scenes to get to that point that's going to happen. And that all starts with summer leadership that's going on. That's all this week. Tomorrow and Thursday is elementary teachers. Well, about 800 teachers by the time it's all done. And one of the things that that kind of sets us apart is that we want teachers to be teacher leaders. Right? We want them to have influence over the other folks that are in their profession, take ownership of their profession, as well as members that are on their team. At the secondary level, that's usually done through content area. They tend to focus that way on the work, and it's usually done grade level wise at the elementary level. So all that's happening. I also wanted so second item now, Mr. Boyack, you know there? So last board workshop, the board had some discussion, want to make sure that we're all on the same page related to this item about piloting a program dealing with cell phones and cell phone use. So as a reminder, the pilot would require us to change our board policy related to when students can have a cell phone at the high school level. We're in compliance and have been in compliance with the new state law regarding elementary and middle school, because they basically passed a law to mirror our current policy related to that. So the board indicated that they'd like to see a change at the high school level, and he brought forward a pilot program to you.
Yeah, so yesterday we officially had a state of Florida budget passed. So today we are hopeful that
That's what the governor signed.
That the government, that's where I'm going. So we're hopeful the governor signs it. There's no line item issues or anything along those lines. But once that happens, we should be, we are hopefully, one of the ones to move forward. All I will need is I'm going to get with Ms. Bonnie after this and put an agenda item together for you all, letting you guys know, hey, yeah, this is what we want. We'll take an official vote on it, and then we'll submit that to them. And from there, we should be good to go. We'll have a very busy month of July in promoting and pushing it out and supporting schools and everything that they need for that sort of stuff. But I did want to give you that update. We'll submit the company, the under company, our vendor packet so that they can go ahead and work through how all that works. I'm not sure how that's gonna work as far as whether or not the state's gonna send us the money, we're gonna pass it to them, or how that's gonna work, but they did allocate, I believe it was $356,000 in the state budget for the program. So I just wanted to give you guys that update. And like I said, there'll be an agenda item on the board meeting coming up.
Can we put another zero behind that?
I
We would love that.
Yeah, that would be great. So thank you.
So any comments or discussion on this particular topic? Everybody wants to proceed forward with an agenda item and move forward on it?
We can make it contingent on it being fully funded by the state, correct?
We could, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's important.
And I think fully funded for all high schools too,
Correct, yeah.
because I think that that's not something that we would want to engage in if it wasn't all of our high schools across the board.
So everybody has a consistent policy. I do think that this is a change, a major change. I think you guys know that. I think you guys have expressed the desire to do this and the influence of phones on young people's and how it might impact. The state's interested in this because they believe it's going to have a positive impact on student achievement, a positive impact on school discipline. So part of the requirement of the pilot is that we have to do certain deliverables to keep track of that data to show the state so that the state would know how that's all worked out in this particular pilot. I do think that I would be remiss if I didn't point out to you, superintendent, that you do have people who perhaps are on the other side of this issue or might not agree with that particular stance. And the reason why I bring it publicly to you is so that you can at least recognize that, hey, I told you there will be some people that naturally, just like every decision you make, some people like it, some people don't, right? The same would be true with this one. It would be irrational to think that there would be some people that wouldn't like this idea.
I just want to add that it may be true, there's always people that disagree with you, but Ms. Skipper and I had a forum with parents almost 2 years ago, and I thought it was going to be a terrible thing, parents complaining about what we were doing, and it ended up, and Ms. Skipper went over the negative effects of what has happened to our children. We were light years ahead, because whole states are doing this now, but parents said, we know our kids have problems. The biggest shock to me was parents saying, we know our kids have problems with cell phones, that they are negatively affected by cell phones. So I'm proud that we're leading the way in this. I'm proud that we understand the data, that it's the best thing for our students, and absolutely the best thing for academic achievement, never mind behaviors. So I'm proud of us for doing that, even ahead of other people, understanding not everybody will be 100% on board. So.
I mean, that was the same thing with the volunteer program and Raptor system and all that. We thought it was, well, not all of us, but some of us thought that was going to be a nightmare. And we've gotten positive feedback from parents and wanting it. So I think that, I mean, that's all part of leadership is taking and leading and realizing the issues and trying to fix them. Are we going to be perfect every time? No, I don't think so. Is it a pilot program that we can try for a year, and if it's bad, you know, then we know, okay, well, we won't go down that route again, right? Or, hey, you know what, it did prove itself. We know medically and statistically now that more and more people are starting to do studies on this, which is the push for legislation. I don't know if many of you know this, but those that don't, the legislators actually were present with a lot of medical data showing how harmful this was, and realizing that what we're doing to our kids is something that we're going to look back on, like giving kids cigarettes. It's another thing that we're going to look back on and be like, what were we thinking? And what it's doing to the brain matter. So I think that this is going to help teachers. This is going to help our students, whether they like it or not. But just being able to uphold the law as well. So I think that us leading and taking this direction is going to be a positive. So.
Well, I would just throw in, I mean, we've been listening to principals for some time, and they've all said they hate it, you know, because they're on the front line. And if we're going to listen, we have to listen to what they have to deal with these cell phones, so.
And it's the number one thing we talk about in teacher chats, number one. I mean, it doesn't, within 2 minutes, cell phones come up. So
Yeah.
I think I'm just proud of us for leading the way and having our data and knowing what's right for our kids.
Okay, awesome, yes, we'll go ahead and proceed forward, just want to make sure we're all on the same page moving forward, and agenda item based on there. We weren't sure about putting the agenda item on there, the budget actually passed. It would seem like the governor's going to sign it at some point here, so we feel like it's going to happen, so we'll vote on it and go from there. I'd be remiss, the last thing, budget information, as you know, we've taken some action related to the budget, like many districts in the state of Florida. Just reading an article on Marion County with a huge number and other counties that are out there. And so we had two primary goals, and what we did related to personnel. One, prioritize students in the classroom. That is the primary focus of what we do in the school system. The second is we prioritized our employees. So I'm happy to report that every employee that was affected or impacted was given another opportunity within the district. I commend the HR department for the outstanding customer service and our principals who did an awesome job related to this. Nobody wants to do that. If you know me, I mean, it literally, upset me quite a bit related to the heart of what happens in Clay County schools. But you also have a business side of things, and if you are spending more money than you're making, you can't do that, right? So we made that turn. We'll have to be more conscientious when the 10-day count comes out at the beginning of the school year, see where we are in relation to that. There's also many other things behind the scenes that we're doing, pointing towards Dawn, okay, related to this, including not renewing some vendor contracts, as well as several other steps to put us in the best possible strategic advantage. Now that we have a proposed budget, it's not official till the governor signs it, now we can go through the developing budget and making any other necessary changes that we need to make. I'm asking the board for their consideration in meeting one-on-one with Ms. Posey prior to the first budget workshop, I believe, the 22nd. And so looking at the week, we'll contact you, looking at the week after 4th of July week, I guess I'm going to call it, the week after, come in and just spend an hour, kind of go through the process, make sure that we all have the same page. I think anytime you have a change in leadership, Dr. Gutko's here for 11 years, so we all kind of got used to the way it was. Now there's a different vision for the work and how that is. I just want to make sure that everybody understands that. So I think I can share one example, right? So
Yes, you can.
one of the things that we always did in the budget process, the trim process, was at that first meeting, Doc would go over not only the millage types of the required local effort and all of those types of things, but then in essence, we give a budget presentation at the same time. And typically, we've seen it in other districts, because I went back and studied this issue. Most districts don't do it that way. By the way, they do the general, hey, this is what's happening at the millage at the first meeting, and then the second meeting is going into some of the details of the number. And so we didn't want you to go to that meeting and say, wait a minute, like, where's the 2-hour presentation? And like, because that's really not a requirement. Also, the way that we would formally vote on each part of that is not a requirement if the resolution's there. So there's those differences in presentation that we want to make sure that you are aware of prior to the trim meeting. So we're looking at that week after. We'll send you an email asking you for times and that kind of stuff to come in and sit one-on-one and talk about the budget, especially coming up for next year. So it's all that I have.
And see no questions, no further comment. School board attorney Renwar?
Yes, ma'am. So as the legislature completes the budget and everything goes in front of the governor, we'll have some updates as far as some of the legislative changes. As far as school districts, we'll provide that to school board members and maybe do a presentation at one of the workshops. So I'll get with Superintendent and you and make sure that, however y'all want to receive that, so.
And we'll start Ms. Gilhausen, any school board comments? Ms. Clark?
I'll just say real quick, I went to the best AMI graduation of all. We had 4 students graduate, but it was the most heartfelt from the parents and comments. And they have the advantage that other kids may not have because I know everybody's there to help them. So it was great. That's it.
Mr. Alvear?
I just wanted to say that I am very impressed with the work the Department for Family and Community Engagement have done, and they have my full support in whatever they need to continue their work. Very impressed, and that's what we wanted to see. For sure, that's going to keep helping us bringing back our children to schools. Thank you.
You guys did the majority of this in a year
That was
and a half,
impressive.
something like that?
The department has been in place for 1 year, but we're building on work that Terry has been doing for many years as well.
And thank you for the allocations. It was like Sabrina and I trying to run different things, and we were like, we need a platform for this.
Thank you, Mr. Brodsky, too, for setting that up and helping you,
Very
putting everything in
supportive.
motion.
And our parents and community are seeing the difference in this. I can tell you that from the feedback and excitement. So they are very appreciative of that. Are you done?
Yeah.
Sorry, I don't. Ms. Hanson?
I went to the summer FSBA conference. It was a riot. I was kind of hoping maybe one of you guys would go with me in December because it's a lot more fun sitting with someone. Although I could have sat with Mr. Brodsky. I just thought he was doing the Sue thing, and so we missed the opportunity. We missed the opportunity to sit by each other the one time that we could have, but sitting alone.
I don't have Sue with me.
Sitting, the one time, sitting alone, it would be much, I think, more fun if one of you or more of you could join December. It was actually some pretty good training. I'm going to be talking to the district about our numbers, whether they include pre-VK and PVK, and some of the statistics involved around low income students and the number of hours they spend in PVK. Raises in a period of Pinellas County 3 years, 23% in reading in those kids. On the positive side, the reading goes up, so I will be having some conversation over the next probably month or so about some stuff I learned about the data and sharing that, and possibly maybe having a guest speaker about the importance of that. And she's from Clay County, so that's it.
I've got nothing. Everybody enjoy their summer. Get some vitamin D. Boost your immune system. Okay. This meeting's adjourned. We have an executive session, so we'll do like a 10-minute break.
Okay, Mr. Block.
Yes, ma'am.
Everybody